Well, let me just take you to the basic fundamentals of science, and that is, when you're doing anything that's got a human element involved, there's psychology involved. So, human bias and all kinds of things occur. And early on in my career, I was fortunate to get involved with the National Research Council, and Dr. Floyd Toole, who is well known for his work there, and certainly in other parts, in his career, made me aware very early on that this wasn't just a technical exercise. This was an exercise in human psychology as well, and trying to understand the relationship between subjective and objective measurements has been extremely critical. Now, as a good scientist, you have to create experiments to determine the validity of any result. And in the medical field, they routinely use a technique called double-blind screen testing, which simply means that in the case of medical research, the drug companies who are trying to develop a cure for a disease or a medication for some kind of symptom would simply develop what they think is a solution. Now they need to experiment with it to find out whether it's in fact real. And the only way to do that, you can't just stick a cord into a human being, give them a pill, and get a reading off a machine to say whether it's working or not. You have to give it to a patient, observe the results. Now, if you give a person a drug and are expecting a result, you are going to be biased by your observations. So what the drug companies do is they will give a doctor two bottles, one with pill A and one with pill B. And they ask the doctor to find some patients that are ailing from whatever disease they're trying to cure and give one of them A and the other one B. So in fact, the doctor does not even know what is the experimental drug. Only the drug company knows. So the patient doesn't know, and neither does the doctor. So that the doctor's observations of the patient will be totally unbiased. Well, this technique seemed to play out well for doing loudspeaker evaluations. So we, in fact, put the subjects and the person who operates the test into an environment where neither one knows what they are evaluating. Only a third party who did the experimental setup, which in this case would be akin to the drug company, would be doing and staging the whole experiment, then exposing these people to this experiment, asking for results, and compiling those results to determine unbiasedly whether or not there were differences perceived or whether the differences were real. And this is all part of good scientific design. And double-blind screen testing is what we call this way of determining what speakers sound better than others. And as you can imagine, with a design in front of me that I've worked very hard on, if I knew what I'm listening to compared to my competition, I don't know, it wouldn't matter how hard I tried to be unbiased. I could not be biased. Or unbiased, sorry, I could not be unbiased. So even on myself, it's paramount in order to make good judgments on loudspeakers. And believe me, it isn't just me that makes these decisions. It's part of our whole team, not to mention, over the years, hundreds and hundreds of subjects from all walks of life doing these evaluations. So profiling what we think in general is typical of the human listening experience.